Welcome back, everybody. Hope you've got your pencils ready. We are going to continue our discussion of animal behavior. So we talked about the fact that behaviors could be adaptive and selected for and evolve. And we've talked about instincts and prepared learning, and then also altruism. So either kin selection or reciprocal altruism. So now we're going to move on to the second part of like half of this discussion. It's a new slides that I've put up. And this is talking about sexual conflict. So um, sometimes a male of a species may have success in one way by having like as many offspring as possible, whereas the female may have more reproductive success by focusing all of her efforts on just like one offspring. So if they have different agendas here, that can lead to different behaviors through them to each try to maximize their own fitness. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Okay. So just looking at humans, you can see that females have a greater investment in offspring than males do. And this is true for all mammals in particular. Um, and this is extreme, but the record number of children by a woman in her lifetime was 69, which is crazy number of kids, but there have to have been some twins in there, and she must have had her first child at age 11 or 12. Um, and then, but for a man, it is more than 10 times that, right? So a man could have 15 or 20 kids in a year, right? Whereas a female can have at most one every like 10 months or so, if she is exceptionally fertile. So they obviously have very different reproductive potential, and so they're going to have different reproductive strategies. And from a biological sense, and we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about like sex determination. Um, Female is defined as the one that has a larger gamete that's usually not mobile. So it's just going to sit there. The eggs just sit there, right? And require more energy to make because they're bigger. And males have mobile gametes, right? Sperm can swim. And this is true in plants too. So males increase their overall reproductive output by mating with as many females as possible, but females don't increase their fitness by mating with multiple males, right? If you can only have one baby every 10 months, it doesn't matter whether you mate with 100 men or one, you can still only have one baby. So the strategy may be to find the best male to mate with rather than as many males, right? But for males, their agenda would be to mate with as many females as possible rather than finding the highest quality. So this leads to the fact that females of many species are going to be more choosy than males because they have a limited um, reproductive potential. So females may choose to mate only after subjecting a male to a courtship ritual, like he has to do a dance, right? And make sure he knows the right steps and doesn't have. This is a way to assess health, right? Does he look good? Can he move well? She may mate with a male who has only a valuable resource. So if he has a large territory, it means that he is strong enough to keep other males away. He's powerful. He can provide food. She may mate only with a male who provides a gift. So sometimes there are crickets may give a large gift before the female lays eggs because it's such a huge energy expenditure for her that he has to give her something as well. Or she may mate only with a male that looks good. And it's not just because she's shallow, but that can correlate directly to health, right? So if he has big antlers, those take energy for him to make. You can't make those if you're feeling sick. Or bright colored feathers. It means he doesn't have any parasites. He is healthy enough to get good food, right? And his body is working. So therefore he could be bright and showy. And he can also maybe do a dance, right? So the females, when they're being choosy, it's not just because they, are wielding some sort of weird power. They are doing it to assess the health of their mate, right? They only want, if they can only mate with one, you're going to choose a high quality one. I do have a few videos that show different choosiness. And I'm actually just going to put them after this video instead of linking to them in here. I think the quality decreases when you're watching a video through my screen. So I'm going to attach a video of a bowerbird. So these males themselves are not colorful, but they create these large like bachelor pads, and the females come and evaluate them, like how good of an architect and decorator are you. And that's how she chooses the mates. So it's almost like choosing the fanciest male, but instead of expecting him to be fancy, she just wants to look at how he's decorated. And then there's another video that I'm going to show. The males form these leks, which are these big groups of males. These are prairie grouse, and they all are doing a dance and performing, and the females kind of walk from male to male and decide who's doing it best, right? So there's the males are in direct competition with one another here. Now, this kind of female choosiness leads to sexual selection. So this happens in the absence of strong forces of natural selection. If there aren't a lot of predators and there's enough food, the females can drive the evolution of the traits instead of the outside environment, right? You don't have to be the fastest to get away from a predator. So you can have a really long tail that maybe weighs you down and you can't fly as well, but the females love it. And so some male traits can be very extreme. Females are going to choose the largest, gaudiest traits, um, and their male offspring are therefore going to have those traits, and they'll be selected in the next generation. And the cost to selecting a different trait is that your male offspring will not have the opportunity to mate. So that decision to like pick something different is going to die with you because your male offspring are not going to have their own offspring. So an extreme example of sexual selection occurs in the birds of paradise. So the males are very beautiful. They live in New Guinea, and they can be very colorful or have very long tails and have some very extreme mating dances um, as part of sexual selection. So they live in paradise. There's plenty of food. There aren't that many predators, and so they have evolved these very extreme traits. So I have one more video to show here, and that's going to be so just click on these 3 videos to show some of these female traits, and that's going to be the end of this lecture.